Right, okay, so we're going to do Omoplata from Closed Guard. Different ways of doing Omoplata, but I'm going to show you the ways that work really well for me. So, I normally hit Omoplata off doing something else like an armbar or a triangle or something. So, the sequence of armbar, triangle, Omoplata, armbar, triangle, that sequence of 3 is something really important. But so what we'll do is we'll just look at it from, I've gone to Closed Guard, and I'm going to try armbar Graham here. Alright, so it doesn't matter what kind of armbar I've gone for. In this case, he's quite low on his haunches and stuff. So I'm just going to cover, grab his tricep, and I pull the arm up towards my shoulder. I want his fist about where my collarbone is. Alright, and then I'm going to come over the top, turning my body, and I sit into the armbar. Alright, he's got a few responses. One of those responses is just to rip this arm out. Again, I'm kind of held in this position. I'm going to lock my body down here. This arm's not going to escape because my leg is in the way, okay? But what I need to do is I'm going to hook on this and drive my hips up and pummel this arm out so it lands in my hip, and I hold the top of the elbow. At this point, it's difficult for Graham to posture. It's not impossible. I'm also at an angle where he can't put his knee on my hip. So he can't use a knee on belly to drag his arm out at this point. If he tries to lift his knee onto my belly, I can't really get there. Okay, so I'm holding this very, very tight. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the weight off his head, and I'm going to, keep the weight on his head for a little bit, and I take the arm, take the leg across the top of the shoulder, and I lock underneath his chin. Alright? I'm lifting his chin. Now if he tries to posture, I just lift my leg, okay? Really, really strong guys will manage it. Also, this elbow is monitoring where this leg is going, so it's not going to go into my belly for one of the common escapes, alright? At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit up and reach for his hip while I stamp both feet to the ground. So I'm going to sit up and stamp both feet to the ground. At this point, my foot goes forward and I take all my body weight forward. This is the point at which he can roll and escape, and I don't really want that. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn both knees this way, and this is how you're taught to do the Omoplata in Brazilian jiu-jitsu especially. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag him onto his side if I can. The more I can get him on his side, the better. This arm is over his hips, which is going to stop him rolling in that direction, hopefully. From here, foot comes out, so they're alongside each other. I'm going to go underneath the armpit. My head goes to the armpit, so there's no way you can build a base. And I slowly start to lift my hip and get the tap. Alright, so that's the breakdown of the Omoplata from my point of view. Yeah, so we'll do that from facing in this direction. Okay, so I've got to my closed guard. Got to my closed guard, I've reached for the elbow, I'm going to pull that across. I've gone up, I'm going for this. He pulls his arm out. Alright, I hook on the back of his neck, keeping everything really, really tight, trying to stop him posturing. Alright, if his arm's over here, people think they can't do anything about it. Yeah, but if I lift my hips, see how that arm is here, I can pull that across, put it in my hip, and grab the back of the elbow, hold it here. Yeah, it also stops him being able to get his knee on my belly, which is another important point. I hold this here, I'm going to go across the top of his shoulder, I go under and I hook, and I push everything away. Now if he tries to posture, just break the line of his spine. It's almost impossible for him to do so. This elbow's here, it's stopping that knee come over. Also, if he tries to do a forward roll, good luck, he's got a forward roll through my foot. It's not really going to happen. For him to escape this position with a roll or anything like that, he has to unhook the foot from underneath his chin, which is actually going to be able to make the next move easier. Okay, I'm going to sit up, push with this leg, push it straight, and put this hand over his hip at the same time. Okay, I stand on the floor. And what I'm going to show you in a minute is I'm going to show you much more brutal. In a minute, I'm going to show you a much more brutal way of doing the Omoplata. Alright? Stand on the floor. This leg is ready for going out here, but to finish him properly at this point, I need to kind of get him kind of flat on his belly. So I'm going to scoot everything this way, which brings him down to the ground, blocking his hip. Okay, this leg's going to come out over the top of the other. my knee is going to be driven down to the side of his head. I'm going to go underneath the armpit and I take my ear over his shoulder and I start to lift until I get the top. Okay, so that's kind of a traditional kind of gi-based way of doing the omoplata. What we're going to look at now is we're going to make it just a bit more horrible. Alright, which is always fun. So, Graham's going to get his head facing towards the camera. I'm going to go for my armbar. So I go over here, pop, and go up for my armbar. He pulls it out. I'm going to hook my foot on the back of his neck. Alright, as soon as I hook my foot on the back of his neck, it's going to make posturing more difficult. Alright, if his arm's over here, then I need to lift my hips to drive it over to the side like you would with a triangle. You can hold here. Really strong guys will be trying to hold your head and stuff. Chances of straight arm bars and things. We're going to just ignore that. It goes over here. I'm going to catch the back of his elbow and I hold really tight here. I'm trying to stop this knee getting on my hip. Alright, once I'm here, this is hooking down. This goes over the top and I just still go underneath and I drive my foot underneath his chin and I'm going to break the line of his spine with this. Kind of takes the posture out of things for him. He has to pop that off. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly the same move as I did before. I'm going to kick everything away and I put my hand on his hip. Alright, so I'm in exactly the same place. But instead of being nice and pulling him onto his side and doing a very nice one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to maintain this move and I'm going to bring this foot up and stand up. Okay, and now I put my body weight on the top of Graham. He's in a really difficult position. I was going to say a swear word there, but it's not very nice. There's no way he's forward rolling out of this at the moment. All my body weight is on here. This hand can either go behind the shoulder or right around the neck. Okay, and when I get around the neck, I start to go forward. Yeah, it's a very much more brutal omoplata. It's also very difficult to stop applying it once you've started applying it because it's a very, very swift movement. So those are the two ways that I use omoplata. With wrestlers, the standing up one is the only way really that you keep them down on the ground. The other way is a much nicer technical way to do it, but who likes technical when you can be strong and brutal?